Swing and a miss. Strike one.
Hi everybody! Welcome to the kickoff to the SHM Summer Concert Series. And boy, do we have a lineup, and this is the perfect way to kick off. We are just so glad you're here. Let me introduce to you my good friend, musician extraordinaire, and just one of the best people I know, Dan Nichols. Danny, how are you, my friend?
Thank you, Brian. I love that you call me Danny. It makes me feel good. Makes me feel 10 all over again.
How long have we known each other? We've known each other for a long time.
20 years?
At least. Man. I told everybody the story of when you randomly showed up to Camp Newman back in 2000, 2001, something like that, and you just your lanky self just standing on the, and we were like, who is this guy? We have no idea. And then you bust out Vishamru, and then that was it. We all knew you, and we all loved you.
I'll be darned. I didn't know that story. That's
really?
Cool. I did not know that.
Oh my God. Well, that was one of the best moments when you came into our lives. And did you think that what was going to happen happened?
2000, I was just starting out. I think I started visiting summer camps in 1999 because of the vision of Rabbi Ron Klotz, that then the director of Goldman Union Camp, where I grew up in Zionsville, Indiana, and he was the one that came up with the idea. Danny, I want to send you around all the camps. I think that'd be a good thing. Like, okay, Ron, that sounds great. So yeah, I had no idea. Well, I still don't. No offense.
Well, we are grateful. Believe me that Ron did that because it's our benefit. It's our benefit. You make the world better. Your music brings us soul and inspiration. And for those of you at SHM who may not have heard of Dan before, you're going to know him now. And he gets to spend a good hour with us. The first 45 minutes, we are going to have a concert, and I'm going to go away because you hear enough of me. And then you get to hear Danny play and bring some of her music and his wisdom. And many of the songs you'll know. And then we'll have a little question and answer session. We'll have a chance on Facebook. I'll relay the messages to him, and we'll interact a little bit, and then he'll do a closing song. So let me introduce everybody to Dan, just to give you an idea of who he is. And Dan, I'm reading this directly off your webpage. So this will, in the words of Dan Nichols, this will be awkward, and it will be cool.
Embrace the awkward, Dan.
That's great.
Embrace it.
Dan Nichols is one of the most dynamic, influential, and beloved Jewish musicians in North America. Dan's melodies have become an integral part of spiritual and liturgical experience of countless individuals in Jewish communities. He is a product of the camping movement as he grew up at Goldman Union Camp Institute in Zionsville, Indiana. Gucci.
Respect. Gucci.
And after realizing the potential of his music to make meaningful connection with Jewish youth, Dan established the Jewish rock band 18. And since that time, Dan and 18 have released 11 full-length studio albums, each one receiving critical acclaim and has been celebrated by Jewish adults and youth alike. He has done some marvelous things, and I'm going to be quiet now so you can bring in the warmth and beauty of Dan Nichols. So let's kick off our SHM Summer Concert Series right. Danny, take it away.
Thanks. Thank you. One foot in front of the other, with our hearts wrapped around our sisters and our brothers. One foot in front of the other, one heartbeat at a time. One foot in front of the other, we all live the hopes of our fathers and our mothers. One foot in front of the other, one daydream at a time. in my hands. 3 steps forward, no turning back. My heart is in my hands. My heart is in my hands. 1 foot in front of the other, with our heads bowed down, running for cover. 1 foot in front of the other, 1 heartbreak at a time. 1 foot in front of the other, we're all looking up for new worlds to discover. 1 foot in front of the other, 1 victory at a time. 3 steps forward on my path, my heart is in my hands. 3 steps forward, no turning back. My heart is in my hands. My heart is in my hands. Open up my lips and I will sing to you. Open up my lips and I will sing. With our hearts wrapped round our sisters and our brothers. 1 foot in front of the other, 1 heartbeat at a time. 1 foot in front of the other, we all live the hopes of our fathers and our mothers. 1 foot in front of the other, 1 daydream at a time. 1 heartbreak at a time. 1 victory at a time. Nashville. Once you've been to Nashville, that's all. You always got the Nashville. I lived in Nashville for 10 years. Or like. Okay. Enough of that. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad you're here spending some time with me. You could be anywhere else. You could be curled up with a soft blanket and a giant pint of Ben & Jerry's, binge watching Shameless right now. That's what my family's doing. But instead you're with me, and I'm very grateful that you're here. That was a newer song that I wrote when I was faced with like overwhelming grief. And days later, that's what came out, was this fierce desire to maintain sense of positivity and hope in the face of being honest with what I'm feeling right now. And I wanted to start there because it's been a hell of a week. Wherever you live, wherever you live in the world and then in your heart, this has been a hell of a week. And we're going to get through this together. That's my belief, and that's where I wanted to start. And I want to move to the next thing. I think this was the very first song that when I decided to write Jewish music, this was the very first thing that I wrote. I was working with a guy named Mason Cooper in Nashville, Tennessee. I lived there from 94 to 2004. And Mason and I were golfing one day, and he's like, you know what, Dan, we should start a Jewish rock band. And I went, why would we ever do that? That doesn't exist. Doesn't make any sense. And he's like, that's why we should do it. And you look at what's going on in the Christian music world, it's a huge industry, beautiful expression. We should try our hand at that. So I don't know. I remember saying to him, I'm only interested in making sure that we do that if it means something. I want to speak truth. And then days later, must have had a huge fight with Alicia or something, and it was 4 o'clock in the morning. She'd gone to bed. She was fine, and I was still up at 4 in the morning, mad as a hornet. And I sat with my guitar and I wrote this and I sang it for Mason the next day. And he was like, I think this is our song. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, this song is about faith. Faith in a person, could be faith in God, faith in prayer. Like, what happens if you have doubt? Being in a relationship with someone is not easy, and you're naming it. And I think this is our song. And then he and I finished the song together. It's a song called Always There. and I'm excited to sing it for you right now. If I turned away, would you wait for me? And if I sometimes strayed, would you set me free? If I were to doubt you, would you still believe in me? And if I saw the truth, would you somehow help me see? My heart's filled with questions that my head can't answer. Still with my reservations, I find you're always there. When I'm tiptoeing backward like a faithless dancer, without hesitation, I find you're always there. Try to hear the secrets lost inside of me and all my deepest fears. My heart's filled with questions that my head can't answer. Still with my reservations, I find you're always there. When I'm tiptoeing backward like a faithless dancer, without hesitation, I find you're always there. Oh, 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 my doubt, your love, cold hands, warm touch, closed mind, open heart, last chance, new start. My heart's filled with questions that my head can't answer. Still with my reservations, I find you're always there. When I'm tiptoeing backward like a faithless dancer, without hesitation, I find you're always there. If I were to doubt you. Every time I sing that, I'm back at the house we rented in Nashville. We called it Wild Kingdom. It was on 40 acres. It was this beat to hell farmhouse, all brick farmhouse that Alicia and I, like, it was roach infested, and we like just turned it inside out, brought it back to life. It was like $600 a month for 3,000 square feet. We're like, we're winning! And it had no central heat or air. It was a thing. It was and anyway, I just remember that night where Alicia had just let the problem go, and I was still holding on to it. Damn. I appreciate you letting me sing that for you. Like you have a choice. I'm definitely singing what I want to sing, and you don't really. Okay. Stop. Dan, stop talking and sing the songs, boy. I want to share this tune with you. This one is special to me because I wrote it with one of my dearest friends on the planet. Her name is Cantor Ellen Dreskin. She lives in New York, and we met, I don't know, 2000, maybe 99 at Havana Shira. which is a song leading workshop program for folks that are interested in doing the kind of work that I do. And I go there every year to learn how to get better at this work. And she and I wrote this piece together. This is how I remember her setting this up. Now, you should call her, Cantor Ellen Dreskin. You can find her on the webs, and ask her, is Dan telling this straight? But how I remember it is, this is the setup for this piece. It's based on the Nishmat Kochai, the Saturday morning liturgy, where it's just this parade of glory, where we're trying to talk about how God is just so amazing in nature and in all ways. And it's just this list of all the amazing things that God can do and God is, and the ways that God is and presents God's self in nature and in the world as a whole. It's just line after line after line about how God's just so amazing. This is an attempt to contextualize that or reframe that in a vernacular in English. And here's the setup as I remember Ellen tells it. You remember when you get that present from a friend and it's just the best present ever? And you call that friend and you're like, listen, I use it. I use that thing you gave me. I use it all the time. And every time I use it, I think of you. Her setup there moves on to our breath. Think about our breath that we have. And what if we were to be that mindful of the breath that we have and to think of where it came from? Who gave it to us? We use it all the time, whether we're paying attention to it or not. And to think about being that mindful that with every breath, it is a life that's given and taken. It's granted. And that expression of, we say this all the time, it's granted that. It's granted that the sun was going to rise. It's granted that my daughter's going to be watching Shameless on Showtime, even though she's 14 and I'm highly uncomfortable with it. It's granted that we're going to have pancakes every Sunday. Like, if it's granted, then it means it's given. And that means it's a gift. And then what do we do with that gift? So getting back to what Ellen's talking about, this idea of our breath as being something that's just, it's not something to ignore. And with all that's going on this week and hearing this expression of I can't breathe makes me think about this song in a whole new way, this prayer in a whole new way. And it's in that spirit that I want to share it with you. This is a piece that Ellen and I wrote called Given. I want some reverb for this. Check this. Oh yeah, just a little tasteful, a little bit of Every breath, each life, each spark, every light that emerges from every dark, this body, this voice, this energy. I just opened my eyes, it was granted to me. Given this space, given this time, given to all, uniquely mine. Every first and every last, all of the future, the present, and even the past. I am a wave, a rise and a fall, a singular drop in the ocean, connected to all. Given this space, given this time, given to all, uniquely mine. Given this space, given this time, given to all, uniquely mine. There is a love song of taking and giving, a singing and dancing in rhythm with all that is living. It's breathing out and it's breathing in, a life that is taken and granted again and again. Given this space, given this time, given to all, uniquely mine. Given this space, given this time, given to all, uniquely mine. I really appreciate you being with me tonight. To have the opportunity to focus on something like this, to like get ready for a program and sing some songs, means the world to me. It really does. Thank you. Ellen sent me this poem today that I wanted to share as a spoken intro to this next piece. I'll tell you that a few years back, I was in San Rafael, California, just up the road from y'all, that way. Or that way. I don't know. It depends on. That way? Probably not that way. We're just going to go that way. Anyway, just go up the 5, and then you're there eventually. The point of it is I'm at a Whole Foods in San Rafael. I'm waiting in line to buy a $13 basket of strawberries. And I'm looking at the self-help magazines on either side of the aisle. And I see this one. It's just like totally zenned out, dude. Completely peaceful. Totally relaxed. So relaxed it made me highly uncomfortable. So I was fixating on it as I was waiting in line like, oh, what's this dude's deal? And it's the cover of the magazine said, you're perfect the way you are, and you could use a little work. I laughed, and I took a picture of the magazine, and then months went by, I forgot all about it. Till I was at home with my wife and my daughter. We're having dinner, and we're looking through this prayer book that was given to us. It was, I think, Mishkan Tefillah for youth. And I was asked to look through it and like unpack it with my family, particularly our daughter at the time was probably 8 or 9. And I'm looking through it, and we're flipping through the pages. We get to this prayer that's been around for hundreds of years in Jewish practice. It says things like, this thing has been there forever. Well, not forever, for a long time. It says things like, God, you made our bodies in the most amazing way. You created them with mastery. You fashioned them in this brilliant manner. And it gets even more specific and awkward. If God, one of our openings or closings were to open or close at the wrong time, we wouldn't be able to stand before you and praise you. So there's all this recognition of God's mastery of the creation of our body. And then the last line of the prayer, what's called the Chatimah, the seal, the little parting kiss before the next prayer, says something like, I think it actually says, blessed are you, God, healer of all flesh, working wondrously. And the question for our table that night was like, wait a minute. If you buy into the God package at all, number one, that's okay, number one. Number two, if God's God and God's capable of doing godlike things in godlike ways, why would God ever decide to make something that could break? That wasn't just all good, we're good, from the top. Like, why create something that's imperfect or that needs to be healed? Why would God ever do that? And for reasons that I still don't understand, other than I'm me and I'm a little bit neat, I thought about being in the Whole Foods. I thought about that magazine, and I thought maybe there could be a connection. And so this song is dedicated to anybody tonight who's watching, who might be feeling a little bit broken, a little bit torn up by anything. This is not an easy time. I recognize that. And this poem that I'm going to share with you before I start singing, Ellen Dreskin shared with me, and it's by Jane Hirschfield. Jane Hirschfield. called a room. A room does not turn its back on grief. Anger does not excite it. Before desire, it neither responds nor draws back in fear. Without changing expression, it takes and gives back. Not a tuft in the mattress alters. Windowsills evenly welcome both heat and cold. Radiators speak or fall silent as they must. Doors are not equivocal. Floorboards do not hesitate or startle. Impatience does not stir the curtains. A bed is neither irritable nor rapacious. Whatever disquiet we sense in a room, we have brought there. And so I instruct my ribs each morning, pointing to a hinge and plaster and wood. You are matter as they are. See how perfectly it can be done. Hold one day more what is asked. I thank you for my life, body and soul. Help me realize I am beautiful and whole. I'm perfect the way I am, and a little broken too. And I will live each day as a gift I give to you. ומפליא לעשות ברוך אתה אדוני רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. I'm going to pretend that somebody with a low voice is singing this. Oh. Somebody alto somewhere is singing, oh. A tenor somewhere is singing out, oh. Soprano way up high, do it, oh. I thank you for my life, body and soul. Help me realize I am beautiful, oh so beautiful, oh so holy. I'm perfect the way I am, and a little broken too. And I will live each day as a gift I give to you. I know it's not choir rehearsal, y'all, but somebody with a low voice, sing it. Oh. Alto somewhere, oh, tenor here, do it, oh, soprano way up high, oh. That poem, Jane Hirschfield. It's called A Room. Back in 1998, little 11-year-old boy named Nkosi Johnson spoke at the World AIDS Conference in South Africa. He was born with AIDS. No one had lived longer born with AIDS than this boy Nkosi Johnson in 1998. At 11 years old, he stands in front of 10,000 people at this conference. Over 1 million people listening to his speech worldwide as he says things like, my skin is dark, your skin is light, I'm sick, you're healthy, and we're the same person. We're the same people. And later, people asked him, like, how did you find the strength to do that? First off, you're a little kid. You're just a boy. You're 11 years old. How do you have the courage to say such strong stuff to all these people? And then also, you're sick and dying with AIDS. How do you find the strength to say such bold stuff? And his response to this was that his philosophy on life was this line: do as much as you can with the time that you have in the place that you are. And maybe I've done a little bit of research. Maybe Teddy Roosevelt said this first. I'm not totally sure about that, but I learned about it because of Nkosi Johnson, because a Jewish educator named Mindy Nathan came to me probably, 2003 or so, and gave me a little post-it note with this quote on it, and it said Nkosi Johnson. And I said, who's he? And she said, look him up. I said, well, okay. She's like, count the words. I count what words? She's like, of the quote. So I count the words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, Mindy, it's 18 words. She's like, I know. Yes, it's Jewish. It's very Jewish. So I said, okay, appreciate that. Nkosi Johnson's Jewish guy then? She's like, no, he's not Jewish. But this quote is very Jewish. I think you should try to find a connection. So I went to my dear friend, Rabbi Michael Moskowitz, who I met when I was 15 years old, 16. He was 17. We were punk teenage boys at camp. He's gone on to become a rabbi. I've gone on to be this, whatever this is. No offense to me. And I said, well, so Mindy has suggested we make a Jewish connection to this. He's like, okay, well, maybe Rabbi Tarfon is our connection here, because that dude was a rebel. He was trouble back in the day, a couple thousand years ago. Hydration is a key to success. And Rabbi Tarfon said, Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor v'lo ata ben chorin lehibatel mimena. It's not your job to finish the work, but you can't keep from doing it. And that became my link for this next thing. I'm so interested. I don't know if it's because my whole family converted to Judaism when I was about 7 years old, or if I'm just a very proud Reformed Jew, but I'm really interested in how to take the world around me that may not be Jewish and look at it through a Jewish lens and bring meaning that way. And I love that Reformed Judaism leaves room for that. And this is a piece called All We Can Do that I wanted to sing for you. Here we go. Oh, I really want some verb on this, Dan. Okay, Dan, no problem. 5, 6, 7, 8. Do as much as you can with the time that you have in the place that you are. 18 words from a kid with less than a year to live. 18 words from a kid. He knew so much more than we thought he did. Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor v'lo ata ben chorin lehibatel mimena. What can one person do? The task is great and the day is short. Words our fathers knew. We can't do it all, but we can all do more. Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor v'lo ata ben chorin lehibatel mimena. Alecha hamlacha ולא אתה בין חורים, להיבטל ממנה. לא עליך המלאכה לגמור, ולא אתה בין חורים, להיבטל ממנה. All We Can Do. Off the album by Dan Nichols called, I'm speaking myself in third person. Nice, Dan. That's pretty cheesy. An album called The Roots. Put out, I think, 2007. Now, there's been a request for Hashkiveinu, and I think that's a good call. I'm gonna like to do that for you. We'll do that now. I have to tell you, this setting for this Hashkiveinu prayer, Jews traditionally say this prayer upon going to bed because back in the day when we went to sleep, we didn't know what the heck was going on, and the ancient rabbis actually came up with a mathematical equation that sleep equaled 1/60th part death. And it wasn't but for a miracle of the Holy One that our souls were returned to us. You know, darkness and sleep was just, it's still a mystery in a lot of ways. And I was, I don't know, probably 2000, maybe 1999. I was traveling around to camps. It was my first summer visiting all these summer camps. I was gone from home. I was newly married. Was gone from home, like, I don't know, from Memorial Day until mid-August. And I was 2 months into it. I was, no offense, but I was straight up homesick. I was at Kutz camp. I was in my room, 11 o'clock, midnight, sitting on the edge of my bed, and I was not feeling good. And I was like, well, what do I do? Return to your training, said the little boy. So I was like, I'm playing my guitar. I was like, but that's still not doing it. So I grabbed a Gates of Prayer. Remember Big Blue? Remember Big Blue? You remember? Before Gates of Gray, there was Big Blue. Anyway, does anyone know what I'm talking about other than Brian Zive? Does that? Okay, it's fine. It's fine, Dan. The point is, what I do sometimes when I feel overwhelmed is I go to the prayer book and I just flip through the pages and I try to find something that resonates with what I'm feeling in the moment. Like, I do that. I've always done that. And I found this prayer, this Hashkiveinu, and it helped. And I adapted it to kind of speak what I was feeling at the time. And fortunately, other people like singing it. And I'm so grateful that someone would ask, and takes me back in time to a special time when I was feeling sad, but then the music brought me up. And anybody who's maybe feeling sad, this is for you. May God please shelter you in Sukkot Shlemecha, a sukkah of peace, a shelter of peace at a time when maybe you're not feeling that. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkiveinu for asking for that. I'm happy to do that. Oh, a few years back, the story time with Dan Nichols, or my last little 5 minutes before we do some Q&A with Rabbi Brian. A few years back, I was at a services somewhere at one of our Reformed congregations, and the rabbi, this is what I remember the rabbi saying. You know, there's the filter of memory. But the rabbi said something. We had planned the service, we had rehearsed the service, we were ready to go. We'd done our work, okay? We'd planned and strategized and prepped. All that was done. And then in Rabbi's office, as we're 10 minutes, 20 minutes before service, the rabbi said, listen, there's a lot in this service tonight, lots packed in. If we're running short on time, we'll just cut Aleinu l'shabeach and we'll move on to Kaddish Hatom, to the mourner's Kaddish. And I was like, what? You can do that? You can just cut Aleinu? That could, huh? And he's like, yeah, no one will know. If we have to, no one will notice. Completely casual. Like, okay, I'm a guest in your house. Whatever Daddy says goes. So we get to that part of the service, and sure enough, we had run long. And we cut it. And we went straight from Misha Berach. Debbie, I think we sang Misha Berach, Debbie Friedman's melody, Debbie Friedman of blessed memory. Her melody, and then we went right to Kaddish Hatom. And in the moment, I saw it. I mean, I was already, but it felt okay. And nobody batted, like it was about 400 people there. Nobody batted an eye. Like, oh, that's interesting. So I have been feeling for a while as I've traveled around. I'm out about 190 days a year at congregations and summer camps all over North America for the last 20 years. I have felt often like Aleinu l'shabeach is something we just have to do to get from the president's announcements about the Sisterhood Bake-Off and the Brotherhood Car Wash to get to Kaddish Hatom, where we're honoring our beloved dead, and then closing the song and getting to decaf coffee in the lemon bar at the Oneg. Like, I have not felt for a long time that Aleinu l'shabeach is any kind of important moment for pretty much anybody, and I know I'm being extreme. So to then be there in this congregation and have the rabbi go, "We're just cut it," and nobody noticed. Nobody said boo about it. It stuck in my head, in my heart. And I was talking with Cantor Ellen Dreskin about this, and she came down to Raleigh, North Carolina, where I'm reaching you right now. This is our little room over the garage in our little house in Raleigh, North Carolina. And she sat right there, and for 2 days, we wrote this Aleinu l'shabeach that I want to share with you. And I share it because the intention is to pay attention to what Aleinu l'shabeach means, which I don't know about you, but when I go Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, no offense to me, but my Hebrew is really crappy, and I might as well be saying blah 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 blah, unless I studied each word and studied it like I was in college, and I'm not yet that devoted to do that. And so, what's the Aleinu really doing at that point? Aleinu l'shabeach, if Baruch Hu is considered at the beginning of the service a call to worship, Aleinu l'shabeach at the end of the service, by the way, what are these, Dan? These are parentheses. This is an open parentheses and a closed parentheses. At the beginning of the service, if a Baruch Hu is a call to worship, then Aleinu l'shabeach at the end of the service is functioning, it should be within our liturgy, as a call to action. Because it means it's on us, it's upon us to go out into the world and perfect this creation that God made, to be a partner in it. Well, I so often don't really get there when I'm just chanting the Aleinu l'shabeach. I sometimes wonder is it about chosenness? And Ellen Dreskin says, no, this is not like chosen, we're better. It's chosen like God is parent and we are children. For example, Dan, as God speaking to Dan the child, I choose you to go clean the bathrooms. And daughter Cody, I choose you to vacuum the floors. Neither one of you are better. You're each chosen for specific tasks on this planet. And it's in that spirit that I want to share this with you. This is Aleinu l'shabeach, and it happens to be in It's up to us to call ourselves to task, to sing what's good and true, to bring about redemption. It's what we were free to do. For what's the point of being here if we're not moved to change our ways? Aleinu l'shabeach. It's time to live our praise. We are carrying the stories of the ones who came before. What stories will be told of us when we are here no more? We commit ourselves to action. It brings meaning to our days. Aleinu l'shabeach. It's time to live our praise. It's up to us to own the vision. We are an answer to a call. It's up to us to live the words we speak for the benefit of all. It's up to us to bow down deeply. There's a broken world to raise. Aleinu l'shabeach. It's time to live our praise. Aleinu l'shabeach. It's time to live our praise.
Dan, speechless. and I've never been speechless a day in my life. My congregation knows that. My family knows it even better. But there is something about your depth and your soulfulness, and that brings out emotions in me that I can't even describe. They bring tears to my eyes, and I feel like you completely get our liturgy. You just get it. And you allow us to get it. And you give us a mechanism to get it, and an identity to go and get it. And I can't thank you enough for bringing us your soul today. So thank you.
You're welcome, Brian. That's really nice of you to say. That makes me feel great. Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to have a small question and answer session because I think it's wonderful during our summer concert series that we're going to be bringing in 4 of the top Jewish artists in North America. We're starting with Dan, and on June 28th we have the wonderful Alana Arian, sponsored by Nashim.
I love that woman.
Then in July, we have Adam Gubman, who you may not know Adam, but he is actually he produced the music to The Greatest Showman. And this is me, and he is father, Mickey, is one of our co-presidents, and he's going to show us the whole behind-the-scenes action into how this is me and The Greatest Showman was created, and so it's going to be amazing. And then we're closing it off in August with your friend and mine from Gucci, Danny, Alan Goodis. So, this is just going to be great. But with all of these people, they're not within our community, and we don't get a chance to intimately talk to you. And so, especially because we're virtual right now, and we would love to have you physically in our community, we can't. And so we want to get to know you a little bit. So, Dan, if you could just tell us briefly about, your path to camp, and then how music just became the foundation of your Jewish life.
My mom and dad are old fogies, They were always spinning records of the Weavers and the Limelighters and the Kingston Trio and Peter, Paul, and Mary. So I grew up with the sound of that in my home. And then my dad played guitar and was a beautiful singer. He got a full scholarship to Butler University for voice. And after high school, his parents said, "No, you're not going to go get a a degree singing pretty. You're going to go get a job. And so he did not. He never went to Butler. He never studied voice. When I sing, I think about the voice that my dad gave me, and my mom too. My mom's a beautiful singer, and they were always making music together in the home and singing folk songs if they weren't playing them. And so I loved the sound of that. And that was my mom and dad at their most functional, and I resonated with that. Then, when I was about 7, my whole family, my mom and dad decided we would become a Jewish family. Prior to that, they grew up as Presbyterians. It's a long story. We can talk about it at the Oneg. But the bottom line is we were not a Jewish family. No one was ever Jewish in my family, and then we were. And a year later, they sent me to a Jewish summer camp that was 2 miles around the corner from my house, Union Camp Institute, now called Goldman Union Camp Institute. And my mom and dad, if they were here right now, they'd say, camp was every bit a Jewish parent to me as my own mom and dad. And so probably the best parenting decision they ever made was to send me to summer camp. And there if we weren't singing Israeli folk songs, we were singing American folk songs. And I knew the American folk song feel from my own household. So then it's being brought to life by 19 and 20-year-old teenagers with guitars in a dining hall. And I'm just, looking up to them like giants, because they were, and so I got swept up in that, and then the Jewish narrative swept up. I learned to read Hebrew at camp. I had my bar mitzvah at camp. I learned to be the parent I want to be by becoming a counselor at camp. So I'm really with you because of what Jewish camp did for me, and that's. All the time I'm doing that, I'm also growing up, and I go to college. I'm fortunate to study voice at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill, classically trained with opera, and that was my background in training. And I loved it, and I never got goosebumps from it. But as a 20-year-old, 25-year-old, I was back at Gucci helping teach song leading, and I found myself in the dining hall now, all grown up, singing in the dining hall with the lights turned out and the candles on the table, and the whole campus singing, really singing, and I'm singing, and I'm just bursting with goosebumps, and I'm uncontrollably weeping. And I talked to Ron about it, the director of the camp, who was my director when I was 9 years old, and he just laughed and laughed. He said, "I think you're finding your thing. You're finding your love. You're rediscovering it." And so I'm the luck. I feel like I've got the best job in the world for me. I'm the luckiest guy on the planet, because it's a complete bringing together of me wanting to find my Jewish identity, wanting to find my voice, and I think it feels like I am.
Yeah, and the dairy next to Gucci is ain't bad either, right?
Man, that is a glorious, glorious spot.
It really is, and I love their ice cream, and I wish I could go back. Just cruising down there on Moore Road, right?
Yep. 9349 Moore Road, everybody.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. Dan, one of your major inspirations is Pete Seeger. What made him so special, and what did you want to invoke from Pete's lessons of song leading?
Ron Klontz gave me a CD. It was a double album of Pete Seeger live at Saunders Hall, 1980. It's Pete Seeger in Saunders Hall is a performance hall, I think, at Harvard. And the way the concert's mic'd, the audience is mic'd and mixed in the sound of the concert as loud and sometimes louder than Pete is in performance. It's just him and an acoustic guitar or a banjo, or just him clapping and stomping. Anyway, to hear one person basically song lead in a concert situation, like I grew up in the dining hall or in the Ulam or anywhere on camp, where that was the way we identified and built community, was from someone getting things started from the center and then giving all of us, 300 of us, the agency to find our own voice in it, with harmony, being encouraged to harmonize as a normal thing. Like, this is what we do here. To hear that done in such a beautiful, powerful, focused, graceful way was a life changer. I remember when Ron gave me the CD, I was leaving Gucci. I was driving back home to Nashville, where I lived at the time. I pulled over at a Shell gas station. I dialed him on a I remember this now, on a payphone. I said, Ron, I'm pulling over. I'm in Bullitt County, Kentucky. I am weeping uncontrollably. Pete Seeger is singing Go Tell Aunt Rhody with 800 people at Saunders Hall. It's so beautiful. What's wrong with me? And he just laughed. And so I think for me, why? Why can you explain your emotions? Can you? I mean, all I can tell you is that it felt like camp. Felt like somebody understood where I was coming from, and expanding that and showing me what could be for my life.
Yeah, absolutely. You may have to explain one more thing to some of our younger viewers, Dan. But what is a payphone?
Imagine a time, little children, where you would go to someone and you wanted to talk to them, and you would pick up a device that was large and plastic and heavy, and you would hold it in your hand, and you would take many coins, quarters, and you would dump it into a slot in order to talk to someone.
Remember calling collect zero?
Yeah.
It's so funny. Yeah, we even are getting a few comments, Dan. We're getting a bunch of comments. I mean, if you go to Shir Hamalot's page later, I mean, look at the love you've received, because
Wow.
if you're not feeling good enough yet, you're gonna feel more warm and fuzzy after. It is spectacular. Dan, you've written. I mean, you've written countless songs, and many of them you didn't even have the chance, unfortunately, to get to tonight during our time. But from B'Tselem Elohim, from Genesis 1 and the story of creation, that we're all created in God's image, to Parshat Nitzavim and Kehila Kedoshah, and I mean, you name it. You've brought our liturgy and our Torah and our writings to life, and but I'm wondering if there is one piece of text specifically, and I know that's hard. That's good. This is going to be very challenging.
Pop quiz.
Yep. One piece of text that stands out more than all the rest to you, that allowed it to be your favorite piece that you've written.
Well, I know what's coming to my mind right now. It's not a piece of liturgy, but it's treated as such by Mishkan Tefillah. If you all, do you guys use Mishkan Tefillah at your place?
Yeah.
Okay, so y'all should know or might know that the right-hand side of the spread, in a 2-page spread, is the regular kind of order of the service, and then on the left-hand side of the spread is all this cool, funky reflection on what's happening with the order of the service. Within Amidah, from Adonai Sifatai Tiftachu Fi Agiti Latecha, from there all the way to silent prayer, there are these reflections, and there's this poem, this ancient poem by Yehuda Halevi. Yehuda Halevi lived in Spain around the year 1000. And he wrote this poem that says, Ya'ana emtzacha, where might I go to find you? You are mysterious and hidden, yet where would I not go to find you? Your presence fills the universe. My heart cries out to you, please draw near to me. The moment I reach out for you, I find you reaching in for me. And that works for me, because since I've started praying, since I was about 9 years old at Gucci, that kind of dynamic is what I've always connected with when I've been able to be vulnerable enough and open enough to my own prayer practice. That's the sense, that feeling that I have. And so every time I pray, that's where I find myself wanting to go and hang out and go deep.
That's amazing. I have one more question, and it's actually coming for us, and then we'll wrap this up. Actually, I have two more questions. This is a technical question. What microphone are you using?
Oh, hello. Thank you. Little Nanny Nichols here in Raleigh, North Carolina, is using the Rode NT. It's a stereo microphone. Hold on a second. Let me mute this for a second. All right. 2 capsules. I find that this orientation really creates a nice open dynamic so that I can sing and play and feel natural. It's the Rode NT. I think I bought it in 2001. And that's
a long time. All right. Good.
Practicing safe zooming.
Yep. So here's the last question we have for you, and then we're gonna wrap up today's session with you, Danny. Was there any one song that inspired you when you started your career? Because I know you wrote songs even long before you were in the Jewish touring realm.
So, what's the question? Please ask the question again.
Was there any one song that inspired you when you started with your career?
Whoa.
Mind blown. Good luck.
The answer is I'm not sure I can come up with is one song, but I can tell you of a moment where I realized something. Kind of it's where I started when I was talking about Mason at the beginning of our time together when we were golfing. I must have said to Mason, like, why do we need to start a Jewish rock band? Like, that doesn't exist. That's not necessary. What? What are you talking about? And he said, look, Christian kids in high school right now, this was 1995. He said, Christian kids are coming out of high school, getting into their cars and driving home, listening to Dave Matthews and Hootie and the Blowfish. And they're also listening to Jars of Clay and DC Talk. Now, Jars of Clay and DC Talk were the biggest, like some of the biggest Christian rock bands, pop rock bands of the time. And he said, I don't think that there are Jewish high schoolers getting into their cars and listening to Dave Matthews and Hootie and the Blowfish and then listening to, I don't think there is an analog in the Jewish music world. Right. And I think there should be. And so in a lot of ways, what was going on with Dave Matthews, Hootie and the Blowfish, Gin Blossoms, Delamitri at the time, were that the sound of that, the feeling that I had when I listened to it was a huge inspiration for where I was trying to record and write and record.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, all I can say to you is thank you. All I can say to you is thank you from the bottom of my heart and my congregation's heart. It's truly a blessing. You know, what we in our SHM Shireinu project, our music program, what we have been able to do together, Dan, it epitomizes everything you believe in. You've mentored me throughout my whole professional life. I mean, even though we don't talk nearly as often, I mean, you know, you're still my brother, man. We've gone through a lot of good times together, and I pray for that day that we get to be together and sing together. And I'm going to keep bringing your music and your teachings to our congregation, and we're going to keep singing it and loving it, and it's going to be great. The one tiny two shameless plugs that I'm going to put out there for everybody is tomorrow at 9 a.m. we're going to be releasing hashtag SHM Sings, and it's going to be a daily music fix, videos that are going to be posted onto our Shireinu project programs, our pages, and our YouTube channel with messages of inspiration and love and connection. And I've already recorded my first couple, so at 9 a.m. every weekday, you guys are going to be getting it, and we're going to sing together with the hashtag SHM Sings. And if you like what we're doing, and are able and willing, please feel free to give to our Shireinu project, our music fund, and we're going to keep bringing you all the best possible programming in Jewish music there is. So thank you, Dan. You mind bringing us home tonight?
I'd love it, and y'all are very lucky to have Rabbi Brian Zive in your community, because one of my favorite memories, like, nobody sings the Beatles song In My Life the way Brian sings it. And when I hear that song, I always hear you singing it in my head, in my memory, Brian. And one of my favorite memories of all Jewish camping in the 22 years I've traveled around the country, visiting 15 camps a summer for 20 years, is doing lights out programs at Camp Newman, walking up the hill to the girls section, and you and I with our guitars doing lights out for the girls cabins, and you in the dark singing In My Life. It just makes me feel so much like this,
I remember
just
that.
held. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I appreciate everyone being so like with me tonight, and I know I just recognize there are a lot of other places you could be, and that you'd want to be with me tonight makes me feel. I've just decided it makes me feel loved and good, and I appreciate too. I want you to know I take my work very seriously, but I don't take myself very seriously. So if you saw me tonight being a little bit goofy, I do that in order to keep myself kind of centered and not, get too big for my britches. My dad taught me that. My best teachers on the planet have taught me that, to take the work that I do seriously, but not myself seriously. It brings a lot more joy to my life, and I appreciate that, especially if you don't know me. It's like, what's this guy doing? Why is this guy being so weird? He's very awkward. I do that on purpose with the intention of what I just shared with you, and I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful to be given the trust in your community to be with you tonight. I got one last song that I want to share. It was written for Goldman Union Camp in 1998 as a birthday song. We were celebrating our 40th birthday, and I'm thinking of all the songs I've been singing lately, this one feels like the right way to end. We say this phrase when we finish a book of Torah. When we mark the moment, we say chazak, chazak v'nit chazek. Be strong, let us be strengthened. It's a way that we say as a community, been doing this for a long time with Torah, and we're doing it again right now, and we're dedicated to keep doing it. It's good for us. It's good for our people. It reminds us that this is when things really started to happen for our people, and brings us a sense of meaning, a sense of purpose. And that's why we were writing it in 98, and especially right now. With all that our country and our people are going through, the world is going through, this song is not a camp song any longer. It's something else. And I want to close with this. Thank you for trusting me with this time. I really, really appreciate you. And I hope you all have a great week and enjoy tomorrow morning. That sounds like a great thing. I'm putting on my headphones. I just feel like I sing so much better when I can hear. No offense. It's just different. Thank you, Rabbi Brian. Thanks, Shir. Have a great week.
Thank you, Danny, and thank you everyone for tuning in to the kickoff of our SHM Summer Concert Series. Our next summer concert will be Sunday, June 28th, 4:30 p.m. with Ilana Arian. She is wonderful. We sing a lot of her stuff too. And that is sponsored by Nashim. So we are grateful for Nashim for bringing Ilana to us virtually. Next Sunday at 4:30, we continue SHM Sunday Song Session, Season 2 now. With music of the 80s. Music of the 80s. And we are going to have a blast. And it's going to be fun. And of course, tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, as I said, hashtag SHM Sings. In fact, you can just post everything on your social media with the hashtag SHM Sings. Why not, right? Dan, you're going to do that right now, right?
Please hold. Hold on.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Be strong. Be strong. We will be strengthened. Everybody, have a great Sunday afternoon. Be safe. Take care of you.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, Brian. Bye.